Roll to confirm a quorum.
Councilmember Abdel-Gawad absent. Councilmember Boehner.
Present.
Councilmember Holman absent. Councilmember Hubach. Councilmember Kellogg.
Present.
Councilmember Moorhead.
Present.
Councilmember Stevens.
Present.
Councilmember Westcote absent. Mayor Kirchhoff.
Present. We do have a quorum. Everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have but one item on the agenda today, a sidewalk on undeveloped lots. It requires a public hearing. So we'll open the public hearing by asking for a staff report.
Thank you, sir. I'll call on Mr. Carteret. I believe Mr. Carteret's format for this morning is going to be to give a general overview prior to the beginning of the public hearings, and then he'll have a short staff presentation at each of the public hearing sections that are on the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. This special council meeting was scheduled today for council to hold public hearings on 68 undeveloped lots that have been determined to meet the threshold requirement for having sidewalk installed. That requirement is under section 445.030 K2A5 of the Unified Development Code. And just for the record, I'll read that. What it states is that the owner of any undeveloped lot within the subdivision or subdivision phase shall be required to construct a sidewalk on that lot when 66% or more of the lots on the same side of the street in the same block already have a sidewalk constructed. And it has been 5 years from the effective date of the code. The effective date was January 1st of 2009. For those subdivisions or subdivision phase for which a final plat was approved as of the effective date of this code. So it's that code provision that triggered the requirement for these undeveloped lots to have sidewalk installed that led to the public hearing today. What I'd like to propose as far as process, as Mr. Feuerborn indicated, I'd begin by providing an overview of the history of the code. I think it's important just to gain some perspective on how we got to today, because there is a history to that. I then would talk about the individual hearing process for each lot that we'll hold today. Would review the next steps would be after today's meeting, and then we can commence the individual hearing process. Prior to the adoption of the UDC, and again that adoption was January 1 of 2009, the only requirement regarding installation of sidewalk on residential lots was that the sidewalk had to be installed as part of home construction, had to be in place before a certificate of occupancy was issued. That requirement still holds true today. It was during the initial preparation of the draft of the UDC when there was discussions by residents, by the Planning Commission regarding the problem of non-connectivity of sidewalks in existing subdivisions. We had residents moving into new homes and developing subdivisions that had sidewalk, but again, any of the undeveloped lots, there were gaps. So there was no uniform sidewalk system in developing subdivisions. And it was the residents of the Planning Commission that wanted to come up with a method to have sidewalks installed when they were needed in these subdivisions. Initially, the proposal from staff was when new subdivisions were going to be completed, that the sidewalks be installed as part of the infrastructure, just like you'd install a street, water, sewer, storm sewer when the subdivision was first constructed. Through the review of the UDC, there was a compromise that was obtained between the development community and the Planning Commission that led to this requirement, or a form of this requirement. At that time, the requirement was that the sidewalk be installed when a 50% threshold was met, and after a 3-year time period. So the initial requirement was an effective date of January 1st of 2012, and then the threshold was 50%. When it came time to have confirmation of enforcing that code provision, so the very beginning of 2012, staff came to the Planning Committee, to the City Council, and requested confirmation on whether we wanted to move forward with the implementation of that code at that time. It was the determination of the City Council in 2012 to amend the code at that time, and that's when the code was changed to its current format, which had an effective date of January 1st of 2014. So we changed the 3 years to 5 years from the effective date of the code. And we also, as a city, increased the threshold to 66%. So that decreased the number of lots that were initially impacted by this code provision. So the code did not become effective until January 1st of 2014. Prior to that date, in October, staff approached the City Council again. We held a public hearing to determine if we were going to commence enforcement of that code section beginning in January. We notified the affected lot owners, held the public hearing. There was public comment given to the council at that time. At the October meeting, there was no consensus for staff to propose or to prepare an amendment to deviate from that code provision. So we came back to council in January of 2014 with a resolution that was adopted where council did confirm the requirement and the effective date of January 1st of 2014. Staff then, with that resolution and confirmation, staff did send notification. At that time, there were 89 lots that met the threshold requirement. So provided notice to 89 lots. There were 40 different lot owners that were notified of the requirement. And then the notification indicated a deadline of August 1st of 2014 to install the sidewalk. The notice also indicated that if the sidewalk was not installed by that August 1st deadline, that the city would proceed with holding a public hearing to determine if the city was to construct the sidewalk and levy a special assessment against the property. So after that August 1st deadline, staff prepared the notice of a public hearing. We came to council. You confirmed today's date as the public hearing date. So on August 12th, we sent notification to each of the, at this time there are 70 lots that didn't have sidewalk installed. So the number of lots did decrease during that time period prior to the deadline. So we sent out notices to 70 undeveloped lots. There were 30 lot owners identified or notified. We also took the step to provide notice to any homeowners that lived adjacent to one of the affected undeveloped lots to provide an opportunity to get input from the neighborhood. We also took an extra step on the lots that were individually owned. We did actually post notice on the lot, just an extra step of trying to make sure that lot owners and the public was notified that that lot did have a requirement to have sidewalk installed. And of course, we did the legal notice that was required for this public hearing this morning. In your packets, part of the e-packet that was posted online, a staff report has been prepared for each of the undeveloped lots wherein the requirement to provide and install sidewalk applies. Each report, they're one-page reports, it identified the address, the common street address, legal description, the lot owner's name. It indicated that the lot owner had previous notification of the requirement, and this notification would be from the very beginning, prior to the adoption of the UDC, to each one of the hearings that we had regarding installation of sidewalk. There were a total of 5 hearings, so I provided a yes or no if that particular lot owner was notified of that hearing. I also, in the report, indicated if there's been any contact with the lot owner or the adjacent homeowners. And then staff has proposed findings, which is part of the city code, that there are findings for the council to consider in your determination of whether the city should install sidewalk on the undeveloped lot. Report also includes a map that I included in the staff report. The same example is on the screen now. The legend for this map, these maps are consistent for all the lots. The subject property will be identified in blue with a star. If there's any existing homes along the street, they're shaded in gray. The lots with the home under construction were identified in orange. If there's any existing sidewalk along the street, it was identified with a red line. If there's any other lots within the vicinity that are also subject to the undeveloped lot requirement, they're identified with an asterisk. And then any existing trail that would happen to be nearby would be identified by a green line. At your October 7th meeting, there were concerns that were identified by lot owners at that time. They expressed concerns about the requirement to install sidewalk on undeveloped lots. So as part of the staff report, we've tried to address some of the concerns. I'll briefly go over those A few items that we did identify. One of the initial concerns was that the code requirement didn't include a provision to allow the installation of a temporary pathway until the home was constructed. And on this particular concern, staff does not recommend that the city allow the construction of a temporary pathway surface. Several reasons. It could create an uneven walking surface. The surface could become damaged from rain or weather. Most significantly would be that any temporary pathway would be non-compliant with ADA requirements. Again, we have to remember that these sidewalks are installed on city property, city right-of-way. They have to meet ADA requirements. Other concerns would be on appearance, perhaps the potential of lack of required maintenance. Again, these are absentee owners. They don't live on the property, so there may be a lack of maintenance. And then also a concern on how long a temporary pathway could be in place. A second concern that was raised was potential for damage to the sidewalk during home construction. Staff's response to that are there are measures that can be taken to protect the sidewalk during construction. First, and the simplest, is simply to control the access to the site. One of the requirements before construction of any home in Raymore is that there be a construction access drive be installed, basically stone where the driveway would be located. If you control the access to it from the site, you're controlling the area where sidewalk would be crossed. You could certainly use steel roadway plates to cover the sidewalk. You could use rock blisters over the sidewalk to disperse the weight of vehicles as they go over the sidewalk. There are measures that can be taken to protect the sidewalk. A third concern was the sluggish economy that we were in during this time period. And staff, we do agree that the economy does remain sluggish, that the housing market perhaps isn't fully recovered. But we do want to note that this code provision has been in effect since 2009. It's going to be a period of 6 years that we've had for these lots to be able to meet, to have development on it or have sidewalk installed. It's a 6-year time period that residents have been waiting for sidewalk to be installed. It seems to be a long enough time period. Another concern is that the sidewalk section would need to be removed to install the driveway approach. So we gave you some examples of where existing sidewalk can in fact be incorporated into driveway approaches. And finally, there was another concern raised about sidewalk can't be installed until the grade of the lot or the elevation of the home was established. Again, what we're dealing with here are sidewalk gaps. There's a beginning and an end point on almost every one of these lots where they're simply tying into an existing sidewalk. The elevation and the grade for those sidewalk segments on undeveloped lots, for the most part, has already been predetermined. I do want to note that the city of Raymore has been a very active participant in the push to have sidewalk installed. We're not pushing this all upon the lot owners or private property owners. In 2007, the city instituted a very comprehensive program to install sidewalk. There were certain needs that we felt as a city that needed to be met. We wanted to fill in some existing gaps in existing neighborhoods where sidewalk was never installed. Wanted to install sidewalk that improved access to schools, and then install sidewalk on at least one side of the street in neighborhoods that had no sidewalk. And we've expended to date over $1.8 million to accomplish that task. So we certainly have been active in the overall city program to have sidewalk installed for our residents. We felt when we adopted this code, feel today that the program to have private property owners of undeveloped lots in developing subdivisions to install sidewalk when a minimum threshold was met is just one further step that the city could take to create a complete sidewalk network. Now, regarding the individual hearing process for today, what we would recommend is in going through the agenda was randomly selected on the order of the subdivisions. We did group these by subdivision, and under each subdivision we grouped it by lot owner. Staff would provide a very brief report for each lot. And we would consolidate the reports if in a subdivision one individual owns more than one lot. The mayor would allow public comment to be received from the lot owner and any other interested parties. We then would ask that a motion be made, and we provided 2 sample motions for you to consider. One would be a motion to include the lot on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city, Or the motion could be to not include the lot on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city. If the motion is approved to not include the lot on this year's list, what would occur is that that lot would then be added to the list for next year's program. So we would ask if you are going to consider any deferrals, that it just be for the 1 year, that it would roll over to the list we would have for 2015. Again, this is an annual program. We'll be doing this each year. We won't have 68 or lots each year, but I can say that there are 20 lots already on the list that have been triggered by lots being built this year, where we have new lots segments that now meet the threshold. Again, that's what we recommend regarding the motions. As far as next steps, staff would take the 2 lists that would be developed today and prepare 2 different resolutions that we would submit to the council for your September 22nd meeting. The first resolution would confirm the lots to have sidewalk installed as part of this year's program. And that resolution would also authorize staff to obtain bids to have the sidewalk installed. The second resolution would confirm lots that would be added to the 2015 list. From the list of those to have sidewalk installed for 2014, we would ask council to select a contractor to do work sometime in the fall or winter of this year. We would go to bid for that work. Once the contractor was selected, the contractor would not be authorized to commence installation of any sidewalk on an undeveloped lot until April 1st. They would have between April 1st and July 1st to install that sidewalk. What this does, by giving that can't start by April 1st date, it in fact gives all the lot owners a de facto extension until that date. So if on any of those lots identified where you say you want sidewalk installed this year, the owner comes in and obtains a permit to build a home or installs a sidewalk, will simply scratch them from the list. And then the city would proceed for any of those that have not had sidewalk installed or a permit issued as of April 1st. The deadline of July 1st of 2015 would then allow staff time. We do have to then send an invoice to the lot owner, provide them 30 days to pay the invoice. That gets us to August 1st. And the city then has to provide to the Cass County collector a list of properties where we installed sidewalk and documentation to then levy a special assessment against that property for the city to recoup the cost for installing the sidewalk. So that, again, would be what we would consider the next steps for the program. So that concludes the overall general review, and unless there's questions about the process or anything, staff would be prepared to go into the next steps.
Okay. Is there any questions of staff? Councilmember Bailey?
Is there a formula set out for how the assessment is made on the properties? How do they figure out how much those property owners are going to be assessed?
We'll bid the contract on a unit price basis, and then each individual location will be measured, and it's a simple extension of length times unit cost to determine what the cost per lot to that individual lot is.
Councilmember Kellogg?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It says April 1st to commence for the contractors to start doing construction. Is April 1st in that window of construction season where it's feasible and advisable to be laying concrete, or is that premature?
No, temperature should be up, and we will also write the spec. If they're not, then they are protected with an insulating blanket. And what that does is concrete, as it cures, generates heat, and the blanket keeps it above freezing. So we don't have any concerns with an April 1st start date for the contract.
Other questions of staff? Okay, thank you. We'll continue on then with the reading of each one of these. For the public that's here, if your lot comes up and you want to make comment, you can come up to the mic, identify yourself for the record, and keep your comments to under 5 minutes. So, the first one is, you want to read these? I'll let you go. Number 1.
Brookside, 8th plat, lot 325, 735 Garn Street, owner Dave Smith Sales, Inc.,
Staff report, please.
Yeah, thank you. This particular lot, as you see on the map, it's one lot on an entire block segment that does not have sidewalk installed. Completion of sidewalk in this lot would complete a loop, so a continuous sidewalk throughout the entire block. This particular lot owner has been notified since before the UDC was adopted. I do want to note that I was contacted yesterday by the builder, indicated that they would be obtaining a building permit on the lot within, I believe, the next few weeks. And so with that statement being made, what I would like, and there are other instances where I have been informed that the lot owner does intend to obtain a building permit, I would request that, that those lots still be included on the list for 2014. It's a precaution in case something occurs where they do not obtain the permit. But if we have it on the list and they obtain the permit, we strike it off the list and simply move on. But if for some reason they weren't to install the sidewalk, then we would still be authorized to do so. This is an important sidewalk to have installed. So that concludes my report for this lot.
Any questions of staff? Page 10. All right. I'll entertain a motion.
With respect to each one, Mayor, I would suggest, since we're having appears to be a public hearing for each one, then ask for the public when you should start reporting. If not, then we can
Okay.
close and move to vote.
So I'll open the floor for public comment. See nobody come forward. I'll move on to, I'll entertain a motion to dispose of this, the 8th plat of lot 325. Councilmember Kellogg?
We are on page 10.
I am.
This is what I'm basing my motion on, is this address right here? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the legal description right there.
Okay. Sorry about that. Trying to get my format here. Mr. Mayor, I move to approve to include the 8th plat, lot number 325, which is 735 Game Street, owner Dave Smith Sales Incorporated, on the 2014 list to have sidewalks installed by the city.
All righty. We have a motion and a second to include the 8th plat of lot 325. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Close the public hearing on each one of these? Okay, I'll close the public hearing on this one, and we'll move on to the next one.
The Estates at Knoll Creek, Lot 1, 1602 Knoll Creek Lane, Knoll Creek LLC owner. Lot 8, 1603 Halls Creek Avenue, Knoll Creek LLC owner. Lot 18, 507 Lastly Branch Court, Knoll Creek LLC owner. Lot 41, 1800 Knoll Creek Lane, Knoll Creek LLC owner.
Thank you. Staff report?
Thank you. For the 4 lots of the Knoll Creek subdivision, again, all 4 are owned by the same corporation. They have been notified since prior to the adoption of UDC of the requirement. I have had no contact with Knoll Creek LLC. The only contact I've had from residents was the homeowner adjacent to the Lot 1, which is on Knoll Creek Lane, where they did not feel there was any need at this time to have sidewalk installed. The one thing I would point out with the Lot 1 and Lot 8 is that if we had sidewalk installed on here, it does not create any connection to there's no sidewalk on Prairie Lane, and there also would not be even a closed loop because we have one lot that did not meet the threshold this year, but would meet the threshold next year, and we have one home that's currently under construction. The other 2 lots in Knoll Creek, the Lot 18 is actually on a cul-de-sac where you'll see that also does not complete a continuous sidewalk to anywhere. Lot 41, back on Knoll Creek Lane, also does not create a complete sidewalk loop. So it appears that, at least at this time, having sidewalk installed on those 4 lots would be advantageous, does not actually create a circumstance where we'd have a complete walking surface from one place to another for residents to have. So that concludes staff comments on these four.
Questions to staff? Yeah, I'll open up the public hearing. If anybody would like to come forward? Seeing nobody coming forward, I'll close the public hearing and I'll entertain a motion from the council.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include the estates at Knoll Creek, lots 1, 8, 18, and 41, specifically to break those out. Lots 1 at an address of 1602 Knoll Creek Lane, Lot 8, 1603 Halls Creek Avenue, Lot 18, 507 Lasley Branch Court, Lot 41, 1800 Knoll Creek Lane. All four are owned by Knoll Creek LLC on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
I seconded the motion.
A motion and a second to include these 4 lots on the list of lots to have sidewalk installed. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries. Move on to the next one.
Meadowood of the Good Ranch, first plat, Lot 31, 2006 Prairie Grass Drive, owner Good Otis LLC.
For this particular lot, the Good Otis LLC has been involved in the process since before adoption of the UDC. This is an important sidewalk segment. It does provide a continuous loop. It does provide connection to the trail that is along Dean Avenue. I do note, here's another example where the lot owner has represented that they, in this instance, they are going to be installing the sidewalk and would install it within a very short period of time. So I would ask that this be included on the 2014 list as a safeguard.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Councilmember Kellogg?
Probably should have asked this earlier when you gave your report, but this just spurned a thought. If the lot owner decides to not install the sidewalk themselves and decides to let the city go ahead and do it, will there be any penalties for that owner? Because I sit here and the discussions that I've had with staff before on this topic is that it might be advantageous for the homeowner or the developer to actually utilize the city's resources and the contract because of the size of the economies that we're going to generate out of this. Well, I guess if they don't go through with any homeowner or property owner doesn't go through with it, is there going to be any penalties for them? My hope is not.
You're correct. There would be no penalty. If the sidewalk is not installed, it would be added. If it's on the list, we would simply have our contractor install the sidewalk, and that lot owner would be charged the linear foot cost that Mr. Kraft explained. That would be the total cost they would have to pay. No penalties, fines would be added because they did not install the sidewalk.
Other questions to staff? Okay, I'll open up the public hearing for the first plat of Lot 31. And seeing nobody come forward, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to dispose of this one.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Meadowood of the Good Ranch, first plat, Lot 31, address 2006 Prairie Grass Drive, owned by Good Otis LLC, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
I'm seconded.
We have a motion and a second to include the first plat of Lot 31. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Move on to the Stonegate.
Stonegate of the Good Ranch, fifth plat, Lot 272, 1403 Haystack Road, owner Summit Custom Homes LLC.
The staff report.
This particular segment of sidewalk, again, another important segment, is one of the few remaining lots within the Stonegate fifth plat that remains undeveloped. It would complete a loop, would complete a continuous sidewalk. Lot owner has been notified since the October 2013 meeting. I did receive notification from the property owner that they do intend to obtain a permit on the lot this fall, so they do intend to construct a home upon the lot. Again, I ask that this be added to the list as a precaution.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Okay, no questions. I'll open up the public hearing. And seeing nobody come forward, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to dispose of the fifth plat of Lot 272.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Stone Gate at the Good Ranch, 5th Plat, Lot 272, address 1403 Haystack Road, owned by Summit Custom Homes LLC, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to include the fifth plat of Lot 272. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Stevens?
I would confirm that there are survey stakes on the lot, so I think they do intend to build a home.
Other discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. The reading of the fifth plat of Lot 293, please.
Stonegate of the Good Ranch, 5th Plat, Lot 293, 1524 Wildwood Circle, owner Paul A. and Vicky L. Canova.
The staff report, please.
Sure, thank you. This particular lot is at the on the cul-de-sac of Wildwood Circle. This particular sidewalk segment, if installed, would provide a continuous sidewalk going up to the elementary school, up towards the subdivision pool. Notice was posted on this particular lot. I have not had contact with the owner. That concludes our report on this lot.
Questions of staff? Yeah, I'll open up the public hearing. If you're up, good. State your name and...
Morning. My name's Paul Canova. This is my wife, Vicki. We're the owners there at 1524 Wildwood Circle. I've been in contact on several occasions with a Jim Cadoret. I don't know, is Jim here? This guy? Oh, we've spoke several times on this issue. Anyway, I have two children that live in the Stonegate area. Lots of friends that live over there. The last thing I would want to do is leave a piece of property unsafe. It's my wife and I's intentions to move out of Peculiar, Missouri, in and onto that lot. Our home is for sale right now, and I brought a copy of the listing with RE/MAX to show that is our intentions, is to move to the property. I'm just asking for that extension that we just were talking about earlier. It is a soft market. House hasn't been on the market but about 2.5 months, I think, or so. So that is our intentions, is to build there on the property. I have a construction background, and although I don't disagree with anything that was said in reference to the construction, but it's real hard to not tear up concrete when you're building a home. I mean, I've been on way too many sites, and I just don't like the idea of putting it in there and then having to watch it get tore up. So it is our intentions to build on the property. We are avidly seeking to get our home sold, and if I can get the extension, I'm comfortable with the fact that maybe we'll have it done and be moved in by the time that 2015 rolls in.
So you're requesting the 1-year deferral, Mr.
Yes,
Canova?
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other would like to come forward? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment, and I'll entertain a motion to dispose of the fifth plat of Lot 293.
Mr. Mayor, I would actually motion to not include Stonegate at the Good Ranch, 5th Plat, Lot 293, 1524 Wildwood Circle, owned by Paul and Vicky Canova, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city. And I understand that by making that motion, that is in essence granting the deferral, the 1-year deferral.
The 1-year deferral plus the time between now and
Correct.
April.
Correct.
So there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to not include the fifth plat of Lot 293 in the 2014 list of lots to have sidewalks. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Hubach.
I noticed that they want about a several-month extension on that. When I looked at what we're planning to do, then it'll be 2 or 3 months before we even get this to the county for action on it. So what would be the purpose of delaying?
They didn't ask
That
for a
was
few
what I was
months, they
wanting
asked
to know.
for a year's extension, is what was the essence of the request, Mr. Mayor.
So I guess my thought would be suppose it doesn't happen, and we've already said, no, they don't have to do it. What kind of, shouldn't we put a contingency on that they have to do it by a certain period then?
What will occur is this will go on next year's list and will come before you in next year's hearing, Ms. Hubach. So it's not like they're going to be deferred forever, would be lost, Mr.
Okay.
Caderet
In
said.
effect, rather than a sidewalk being installed in 2015, if nothing happens, the sidewalk will be installed in 2016.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ensure.
Councilmember, Moorhead?
The purpose for my intention to not include this on the list is, first of all, this is a new system that has been put into place. So this is our trial year. Again, I would give any deference to either an individual owner or a corporate owner, but the idea here is we're kind of treading into this new water here. Yes, they could technically run slightly larger than a year as far as calendar time. It's also entirely possible, and the applicant is not required to answer this question, but theoretically, based on the assurances we've been given by them, which would be used against them if they did mislead us later, theoretically, if they moved and were starting to build here in the next 6 months, theoretically, they could voluntarily put in the sidewalk well ahead of that period of time. My inclination today, and not to overly tip my hand, but if there's a reasonable request and position that somebody can come before us with, I'm willing to grant some consideration here today, especially because of a new system in place. Now, I say that with the intention of also tipping my hand to say, if somebody comes before us and misleads us or is somewhat not fully committed to us on this, they're not going to like the approach that will be taken a year from now. But as far as this morning goes, I don't see anything unreasonable of granting a little bit of an extension. This puts the initial applicant, and Mr. Caderet, this is kind of a quasi-question, if we were to add them to the list, they're already into our administrative system here to force this sidewalk. By giving them the 1-year extension, yes, it gives them some latitude, but at the same time, again, they're not under that immediate thumb of the city as far as installing the sidewalk.
That's correct. We would add them to the list that we already have started for the 2015 cycle.
Right.
Councilmember Hubach?
A concern that I'd had was the council made these rules and regulations, and we should stick by our rules and regulations then and not make a whole lot of exceptions, because we are legislating, and then now we're coming back and we're acting as a judge on our own legislation, and I had some concerns with that. But if the rest of you don't feel that it's a problem, then I will defer to you.
Councilmember Kellogg?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I agree somewhat with you, Mrs. Hubach, but when we entered into these discussions, we also entered into what my understanding was, that we would have the ability to consider special circumstances and extenuating circumstances. And I think that's what we're doing now, too. I mean, I was told that, we'd give the public, the contractors, the developers, the opportunity to come in and lay those cases out. And I think that's exactly what's happened here. Is a perfect example of how I hope it does work the rest of the day, is that we've got a homeowner here come forth with everything that I see as good faith effort, bargaining in good faith and asking in good terms. And, I think what we have the latitude to do is to allow that compassion and give those considerations on a case-by-case basis. Now, if somebody comes up and just doesn't have, in my opinion, a good faith effort to have that deferral, then I'm not going to be, apt to give it. But under the case that just happened, I don't see anything wrong with what we've done.
Councilmember Moorhead?
Mr. Mayor, since Ms. Hubach was going to respond, I'll yield to her.
Councilmember Hubach?
It seemed to me that any time that we have an extension or a reason to not follow our ordinances, what we do then is we have it go to either the Board of Appeals or the Board of Adjustment. And I was wondering if that's not the proper place for something like that. I'm thinking in terms of we are legislating, and then if we wanted to make any exceptions to what we have legislated, usually we go to the Board of Appeals or the Board of Adjustment, and then they decide whether they want to make an extension or if they don't. I'm just trying to figure out if we are following the normal procedure or not.
Mr.
If we
Feuerborn?
are, why, that's fine. If we're not, why, I would take exception.
Mr. Feuerborn?
Thank you, sir. That would be the case if the due process for the individual is specifically spelled out in our code for that to be an appeal mechanism. Within our code, this is the process for appeal. And for them to come before the council and be heard, and it ends there.
Okay, Councilmember Moorhead?
Okay, I was going to follow up on Councilmember Kellogg's comments too. This is, I'm very comfortable with this process and being able to offer some sort of precedence here for the people here for the public hearing. It's within our discretion of what we're able to do with this to some degree, and for us to be able to lay down some foundation, namely to say that the people here today did not have the ability to have an interpretation of this in the past coming into this morning. And I'd hate to favor somebody who's just linguistically a little more sly. What I'd like to do is be able to demonstrate a reasonableness to the people that are here, with the understanding that those contractors, as they look back on today's hearing, they're going to hear and see that we're saying that this year we're being a little more flexible because you didn't know what we were going to do coming in. Next year, those of you who have these issues can learn from the group of this year and can respond accordingly, which again is code. If I'm on this council, I'm not going to be as reasonable next year since you had forewarning, but this year some people haven't. That's why I think that there's nothing inappropriate about us being a little sensitive to the fact that this is newly formed legislation on our part.
Okay.
Other comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second not to include the fifth plat of Lot 293. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to Ward Park Place, please.
Ward Park Place, third plat, lot 140, 1917 Parkview Drive, Asset Acquisitions LLC owner. Third plat, lot 141, 1919 Parkview Drive, Asset Acquisitions LLC owner.
Staff report, please.
Thank you. These two lots are side by side along Parkview Drive. The property owner has been notified of the requirements since the 2012 public hearings that we had. Notice was posted on this lot as additional notification. I do note that this particular sidewalk segment, it would provide connectivity to get for residents that live along Parkview Drive, along the south side of Parkview Drive, to get to the community park, the subdivision park that is located off of Sierra Drive within the subdivision. It would also then provide connectivity to the Ward Park Place swimming pool that's within the subdivision. Thank you.
Any questions of staff? Okay, I'll open up the public hearing. Please identify yourself for the record. Keep your comments to, well, in your case, let's keep them under 3 minutes, okay?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Mark Blankenberg with the Blankenberg Law Firm, 216 North State Route 7, Pleasant Hill, Missouri. Here representing the owner, Asset Acquisitions LLC. As with the previous owners, we are requesting a one-year deferral on this property. And I'm not going to argue the merits of anything, but just to look at the exceptions within the UDC, and specifically Section 8E, which provides the likelihood that the lot will be developed within the next year as a reason for the city not to install the sidewalks. And what I'd like to let you know is that we are in talks with a builder who is currently constructing in a subdivision in Liberty, is expecting to complete that construction in the spring of next year, and has expressed interest not only in these 2 lots, but several other lots within Ward Park Place in the third plat. And the problem is this builder does not want to start construction here while he's still constructing in Liberty and have to go back and forth between Raymore and Liberty to supervise the construction in both subdivisions. So what we anticipate, I've been told by my client that there's a 90% likelihood that this builder who is currently constructing in Liberty will be purchasing these lots and beginning construction on these 2 lots as well as others in this plat of the subdivision within the next year. And so on that basis, we are asking for the 1-year deferral.
Thank you, Mr. Klinkenberg. Seeing no further coming forward, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to dispose of these 2 plats.
Mr. Mayor, I move to include Ward Park Place, 3rd plat, lots 140, 1917 Parkview Drive, and Ward Park Place, 3rd plat, lot 141, 1919 Parkview Drive, both owned by Asset Acquisitions, LLC, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Okay, there's a motion to include these 2 plats. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor? 1, 2, 3. Opposed? 2. Okay, motion fails. That leaves it in limbo, doesn't it? How about a motion, a contrary motion to not include? Somebody would like to make that motion? Councilmember Kellogg?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to motion to not include.
I do need 5, don't I? Or is 3 enough?
No, 3 would prevail. You have, that's the majority of the quorum present. It won't be good enough.
Oh.
September 24th.
Correct.
For the resolution. But for today's motion with a quorum of 5, 3 will prevail for a motion.
Okay, so for today, for this thing, 3 is enough because it's 3 of the 5. Okay.
Correct.
So my error, the motion did carry.
It did carry, sir.
Okay, my error, sorry. We're wandering on an unfamiliar territory here. All right, so the motion did carry. Now, we'll move on to Eagle Glen then.
Eagle Glen, 2nd plat, lot 102, 303 Eagle Glen Court, owner Ken Hayab Homes, LLC.
Staff report, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This particular lot is directly across from the Raymore Intermediate School. This particular lot would provide a continuous sidewalk along Johnston Drive. I do note in the Eagle Glen subdivision, sidewalk is only required along one side of the street. So the requirement for this lot would be only along Johnston Drive. On the Eagle Glen Court, the sidewalk is already installed along the west side of the street. The owner of the lot has been notified involved with this process since prior to adoption of the UDC. Have been in contact with this particular lot owner over the entire 6-year time period. Most recently, back on August 14th, they indicated they did go out, received a quote, but do not intend to install the sidewalk. They do realize that if they don't install the sidewalk, that the city would or could install the sidewalk if so determined by council. This is an important segment of sidewalk for the city to install. It does provide direct connection to both the school and the trail system along Fox Ridge Drive.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Councilmember Kellogg?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This particular lot, do we know where the driveway curb cut will be? Will it be on Eagle Glen Court or on Johnson Drive, or is it too early to tell at this point?
Too early to tell. Likely that it would be off of Eagle Glen Court, just with the setbacks that would be required on the home. But no plans been submitted. It, and the code wouldn't restrict it to the cul-de-sac. It could go out onto Johnston Drive, but because of the lot configuration, likely to face onto the court.
Thank you.
Other questions of staff? I'll open up the public hearing for the second plat of Lot 102. See nobody coming forward, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to dispose of the second plat of Lot 102.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Eagle Glen's second plat, Lot 102, address 303 East Glen Court, owned by Ken Hayab Homes LLC, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
I second.
A motion and a second to include the second plat of Lot 102. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Move on to the fifth plat of Lot 185. The fifth plat of all of them, it looks like.
Eagle Glen, fifth plat, lots 185, 114 Winoga Circle, owner Great Plains Real Estate Developments, LLC. Fifth plat, lot 206 at 104 South Eagle Glen Drive, owner Great Plains Real Estate Developments, LLC. Fifth plat, lot 269, 1204 Johnston Drive, owner Great Plains Real Estate Developments, LLC. Fifth plat, lot 270, 1206 Johnston Drive, Great Plains Real Estate Developments, LLC. Fifth plat, lot 276, 1309 Sagamore Drive, Great Plains Real Estate Developments, LLC. Fifth plat, lot 277, 1307 Sagamore Drive, owner Great Plains Real Estate Developments, LLC.
Thank you. Staff report, please.
Yes, sir, thank you. All 6 of these lots are located in the fifth plat. The owner has been involved in the process since the very beginning. The owner here is Robert Jackson. It was, in fact, Mr. Jackson that initially led the movement to have this particular code language inserted. He was involved with the transition from the city requiring it to be installed up front to how about this compromise. So he certainly was part of this process from the very beginning. We've been in contact with him the entire time. Most recently, he submitted 2 separate letters, one dated August 19th and one dated August 25th that was included in your packet. Summarize the letters. He is aware that he has until April 1st to install the sidewalk or have a permit obtained for the home, and he has indicated that that would be the course of action. We'll either have a permit obtained for each one of the lots, or would have the sidewalk installed himself. Again, would ask that as part of our process that we include the lots on our list as a safeguard, but again, he has indicated that he will take responsibility and have the work done.
Councilmember Moorhead.
Mr. Carteret, and you, that last statement there kind of fed to my question. My interpretation of the letters was that Mr. Jackson, in essence, offered a kind of a settlement or an option, but the way I read it, it fits within our procedures that, in essence, he's acquiescing it to go on. It can go on the list, but yet still meet what he's offering. So am I reading that?
No, I think that's correct. And in my verbal discussions, and I've had several, indicates that he knows that the deadline's April 1st. He hopes to have the lots sold. If he doesn't, he will have the sidewalk installed by the April 1st. And if, again, understanding that we could step in and install the sidewalk if he does not. So I think we're on the same terms here, but I like to have it, again, as a safeguard listed for the city to step in if for some reason the action weren't to occur. But he has indicated he will do the work.
Other questions of staff? Thank you. I'll open up the public hearing for the lots of the fifth plat. See nobody come forward, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to dispose of the lots of the fifth plat.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Eagle Glen fifth plat, lot 185, address 114 Winoga Circle. Eagle Glen fifth plat, lot 206, address 104 South Eagle Glen Drive. Eagle Glen fifth plat, lot 269, 1204 Johnston Drive. Eagle Glen fifth plat, lot 270, 1206 Johnston Drive. Eagle Glen fifth plat, lot 276, address 1309 Sagamore Drive, and lot Eagle Glen fifth plat, lot 277, 1307 Sagamore Drive, all owned by Great Plains Real Estate Developments, LLC, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Motion and a second to include the lots of the fifth plat of Eagle Glen. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Move on to Moon Valley, please.
Moon Valley, second plat, lot 48, 921 Birchwood Drive, owner Scott F. Dobson. Second plat, lot 62, 910 Birchwood Drive, owner Scott F. Dobson.
Staff report, please.
Thank you. Yes, on both of these lots, staff has been in contact with Mr. Dobson. Mr. Dobson was an individual that did speak back at your October 7th, 2013 public hearing and expressed some concerns at that time. Staff did, in fact, actually meet with Mr. Dobson out at the lot. Sorry, bring it up on the screen. Out of the lot, he has two lots actually along Birchwood Drive, so he certainly was aware of the requirement to install the sidewalk and aware of the public hearing today. There's no school within or near the subdivision, and it doesn't provide direct connection to a sidewalk or trail on Arterial Street. I do note that it does provide a complete connection loop. It does provide connection to the Recreation Park Trail. It does provide connection to the two subdivisions to the south. And that would be the case for both lots, both this lot and the next lot on your agenda. Thank you.
Any questions of staff? Thank you. I'll open up the public hearing. Identify yourself for the record, please, and keep your comments to under 5 minutes.
Hi, this is Scott Opson, Renmore, Missouri. I do own both those 1403 Southwind Drive, Renmore. I do own both lots there in Moon Valley. I'm having them listed right now. I'm trying to sell them pretty actively. As you see, about a year and a half ago, there were 13 lots for sale in Moon Valley. Currently, there's only 3. 10 of those do have homes being constructed on. There's a very active subdivision. Why it was so dead for quite some time was under 13 lots under foreclosure. The bank finally released all those, which was the huge holdup. I purchased 3 of them. I've currently sold the one which has the home under construction on it right now. I picked up the one across the street from it. I've done some pretty extensive work on those lots trying to clean them up for the subdivision. They were quite an eyesore, if you guys are familiar with that area. I understand the need for the sidewalks. I do agree that there are gaps there. My gentleman was saying they don't really connect to schools or a lot of other things, but they do connect to the park. My proposal is I would like to work with you guys, and propose that I install a temporary sidewalk. I really do believe that that is a good option. I propose what we've done in the past in some other subdivisions in the south is we actually still excavate 3 inches of soil and then install 4 inches of crushed rock dust or lime, whatever you're commonly known as. It does make a completely hard surface, able for strollers, complete walking. It's what I personally have at my own home for all my construction equipment. I've lived there for 7 years, and I mean, you can roll 60,000, 70,000 pounds worth of equipment on it all day long. It doesn't even leave a track, and that is even on a rain day. I'm not kind of pushing to the continuance because I know it's just going to come to a vote again, and I'll have to install them. So I'm not asking for that. My goal is to sell them before that time period or build homes on before that April 1st deadline. But I am willing to kind of meet in the middle and put a temporary sidewalk in. That would be 4 foot wide, 4 inches in thickness, crushed rock dust or lime, compacted, watered in. It makes a completely hard surface with weed mat underneath, so therefore, stops all the weeds and everything from coming up and under it. It looks very nice. Can't really even tell the difference between it and concrete. And my big thing is it's not quite a waste. I have a pretty big opposition to the concrete. It's just going to get tore up. It will. It's just a matter of fact. Or, the gentleman was saying, at least where we have to cut out for the approach, that has to be cut out. And the gentleman said we could reuse that. You can't reuse the sidewalk as the approach. Your approach has to be 12 foot, one continuous 4 to 6 inches thick. The sidewalk does not meet your requirement for an approach. So that was a little misleading there. So I would like to do that. Work with you guys. If I don't sell them by April 1st, I will put in the lime and the rock dust pads. I really feel that it will be a great asset to the city.
Thank you. Who had the hand up first? Councilmember Moorhead?
Mr. Cataract, could you talk to the sufficiency of putting in this, the proposed temporary sidewalk substance?
I can begin and then ask Mr. Krass to add on anything that I may forget. It goes back to the initial report that we gave to the council. It was raised by Mr. Dobson back at the October 13th meeting of the council as one of the concerns. Staff has spoken about the possibility of allowing the temporary surfaces. There were other options. This is probably one of the better options of temporary sidewalks. Some of the other options were stepping stones and other things that could be laid out between the existing sidewalk segments. So this is probably a little bit better approach, perhaps, but still raises the concerns that we had, that it still could become an uneven surface, but the biggest and most important concern is it doesn't meet ADA requirements. That's probably our greatest issue with it, is not meeting those requirements and being within our right-of-way.
Councilmember Kellogg?
A couple questions. One might be for Joe and the other one's for Mike. Is there a measure of, I'm struggling for the word, but a measure for the compactness of a material, whether that it will withstand so much pressure, and is there guidelines that we as the council can look to assure, to give us some assurance that it is compacted to a certain pressure, that we can say, we are good with this temporary fix under these conditions, and lay those out?
Initially, there are standards for compaction. The issue with the granular material is it still will absorb moisture. As it goes through freeze-thaw, there is the opportunity for it to loosen up. That's staff's concern with regards to meeting the ADA requirements. That's the American Disabilities Act, and with regards to accessible routes. And so that's really our concern, is the maintenance of it. As Jim mentioned earlier, these are absent property owner lots.
Yes, and I thank you for that. And I agree, that was my next question. My next concern is that with a temporary, I'm going to opine here, there's nothing more permanent than something temporary. That's my jaded side coming through. But if we were to grant a temporary surface, I think we would be prudent and advisable to put a time limit to how long that could be out there. Is there language that we should look for, that if we do grant this, that we do not allow it to go past the likelihood of, or the lifespan of what that surface is expected to last? I can't see a temporary surface like that, expected to last more than a year or two at the greatest,
If that was the question for me, yes, I would recommend, if you're going to grant this temporary situation, that there be a time limit. My concern with this is it sounds like it is a technical or engineering standard that would more likely be appealed to the Board of Engineering Appeals, or a BZA issue. I'd defer to Mr. Cataract, but it seems to me that a material that's not authorized by code, we're getting out of legislating and getting into administering a technical standard here. So I do understand the applicant's presentation, and though you have broad legislative power to, in this code provision, to grant a deferral, I'm a little concerned that a deferral or of the condition that I couldn't articulate it better than you did, Councilman Kellogg, which is it's easy to say you can grant a one-year deferral because you find extraordinary circumstances. If you don't, then include it. On the other hand, to grant this, we either need to amend the code and have this as a standard, or make sure we're meeting a technical standard that meets public health and safety issues. And that's past my field, and not to hurt anybody's feelings, past your field, really. We defer to a Board of Engineering Appeals when we have a standard that's not contained within our Raymore code. engineering-wise, but let me defer after all that brilliance to Mr. Carteret or Mr. Krass to discuss this particular proposal and whether they think it meets public health and safety standard.
Just one comment, and I do concur with that. We do have the standard for installation of sidewalk in our right-of-way, so it would be a deviation from that standard that would have to be considered by our Board of Appeals, which is the group of members that have the technical expertise to hear on matters of engineering building code standards.
Before we continue any further discussion, we do have the public hearing still open, so unless there's anybody else coming forward, I'll close the public hearing and continue with the discussion with Councilmember Moorhead, who I haven't called Councilmember Westcoat the entire
That's
morning.
true. That's true. And Mr. Mayor, I don't mean to fly in the face of what you just stated, but in light of the comments from staff and the questions that we've had, since we're kind of sounding like this may not, that the applicant's proposal may not be a good fit, I wanted to be able to extend that the applicant have the ability to come forward and respond to any of that or make an alternative proposal or something. Since there was an attempted compromise there, I wanted to give the applicant at least the opportunity to speak to that.
If the applicant would like to come forward, that'd be fine. I would caution everybody on the dais here that we've been informed that a variance, a different construction method for something that would simulate a sidewalk is something that should go before the Board of Zoning Adjustment, not before us. So I'll let you have the floor for a few minutes if you'd like to
No, that's
address
fine. I mean, I understand the concerns. I'm just saying, where I personally installed this on my own home here in Raymore, I promise you, the surface will hold up. Now, I do agree it does not fall under ADA. That is true. I mean, it is not a solid concrete surface, but it mirrors concrete. I promise you of that. I'm just trying to meet in the middle. I don't want the continuance that's just going to push more paperwork, more of this later. I'm not into that. I hope to sell them and construct on them and be done with it. But if I don't, this is what I'm willing to do. I just don't want to cut the concrete out, throw it in the dump. This is something that I will cut back out, and this is what will go in the garage for fill. The material is reusable. It's just not cut out, thrown in the dump after the concrete, like the concrete sidewalk will be. And we're just filling up dumps using natural resources for nothing. This can be cut out and refilled in the garage for excellent fill.
Councilmember Moorhead.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. A question to the applicant. Just so I'm understanding you correctly, because what I'm hearing is you don't want the continuance. So, because our alternative here is we either include you on the schedule this year, which forces the installation no later than the middle of or April of next year, or if we give you the continuance, it grants you an additional year that you're not required to even put any of this alternative in, and it gives you additional time to possibly sell the property. So, I mean, I'm not trying to in any way impart a position here, but from a cost-benefit standpoint, would the continuance not be a better option than to try to force something that we're implying, or not implying, but that we've received advice that this may not be a fit we're allowed to do?
Correct. I agree with that, and that would be fine also. Of course, I'd love to do that. My gut feeling is I could get them sold by then. I really feel, like I said, 13 lots, we're down to 3. I have had interest, but I don't have a contract. So that's where I'm at with that.
Thank you. Do you have a question? Councilmember Kellogg.
I think I heard you say that you're a resident of Raymore. Am I correct?
Yes, I am. I just live right down the street.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Stevens.
I'm a little concerned about the whole thing. By virtue of these lots being there, they're all for sale, aren't they? I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah, I believe they are for sale.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. We closed the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to dispose of the second plat, lot 48 and lot 62.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to not include Moon Valley Second Plat, Lot 48, address 921 Birchwood Drive, and Moon Valley Second Plat, Lot 62, address 910 Birchwood Drive, both owned by Scott F. Dobson on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Second.
There's a motion and a second not to include the second plat, Lot 48 and 62. Is there any discussion? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? 1. Motion carries. Move on to the second plat of Lot 70, please.
Moon Valley Second Plat, Lot 70, 904 Terrace Drive, owner Patrick and Janelle Harlan.
Staff report, please.
Yes, sir, thank you. As you can see on the map, this is one lot on an interior block that does not have sidewalk. So this sidewalk on this lot would provide a continuous loop. I have had conversations with the owner of this lot. This lot is actually owned by Mr. Harlan, who lives in the home directly adjacent to the north. So he purchased this lot with the intention of constructing an accessory building, a garage on the lot. And so his intent would be to obtain a permit to build the garage and install a sidewalk as part of that permit process. He has not obtained that permit to date, but I know in discussions, again, that is his intent. What I would ask is that the property be included on the list, and that would give the property owner at least until the April 1st deadline to obtain the permit to construct the building on the lot, and then the sidewalk will be installed as part of that permit process. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions for staff? Councilmember Kellogg?
You said that the homeowner to the north owns this, and his intent is to put it in a garage there or an accessory building.
Yes, sir.
Is there plans for a curb cut at that plot there, plat?
Yes, there would be a separate drive entrance for this garage, and that would be allowed under code.
Okay.
Yes.
Other questions of staff? Okay, I'll open up the public hearing. Ask anybody who'd like to come forward. Identify yourself for the record. Keep your comments to 5 minutes. Seeing nobody, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to dispose of second plat, Lot 70.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Moon Valley Second Plat, Lot 70, address 904 Terrace Drive, owned by Patrick and Janelle Harlan, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Councilmember Hubach seconded it. Okay. We have a motion and a second to include second plat, Lot 70 in the sidewalk construction. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to the Southern Hills at Creekmore, please.
Southern Hills at Creekmore, Second Plat, Lot 38, 1233 Edwards Circle, Bello B. Bello owner.
Staff report.
Yes, sir. This particular lot on Edwards Circle is a cul-de-sac lot. The owner has been notified since the public hearings back in 2012. We also posted notice on this particular lot. This would be considered an important sidewalk segment. It does provide for a continuous loop along Wiltshire Boulevard, provides for a continuous sidewalk to the Creekmore Elementary School, other amenities in the subdivision, and also to the amenities, the trail that exists out along Fox Ridge Drive. There has been no contact from the owner on this particular lot.
Okay, thank you. Questions of staff? I'll open up the public hearing. Seeing nobody come forward, we'll close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion to dispose of the second plat of Lot 38.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Southern Hills at Creekmore Second Plat, Lot 38, address 1233 Edwards Circle, owned by Bello B. Bello, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
I second.
A motion and a second to include the second plat of Lot 38. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Move on to Lot 68, please.
Southern Hills at Creekmore, Second Plat, Lot 68, 1220 Deaton Circle, owner Jesus A. Molina and Jennifer M. Botten.
Staff report.
Yes, sir. This lot and the next three of the agenda, excuse me, are all located in the vicinity of one another. This particular one's at the corner of Deaton and Hampton Drive. Again, the owner of this lot's been notified since the 2012 public hearings, and notice was posted on this lot as well. This lot, it would really need to be considered with the other lots. If sidewalk was installed on the other lot segments, there would be some continuity of sidewalk in the area. There is one lot that's located at Creekmore Pond Lane and Wiltshire Boulevard that's been added to the 2015 list that would close the entire loop of the area. But again, this one of 4 lots would be considered important to have sidewalk installed, again, to fill in all the gaps that are in this particular area of Hampton and Creekmore Pond Lane. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of staff? I'll open the public hearing for the second plat of Lot 68. Come forward, identify yourself for the record, keep your comments to under 5 minutes. Thank you.
I am Jesus Molina, and my wife and I, prior to 2012, purchased this lot because we were planning on downsizing. Given the state of the economy at that time, owning a lot and looking at options of build homes, we assessed what would be the best option for us. And we found out that build homes at the moment could be a good option. And we found a house that, comparing investments on building or taking advantage of the state of the economy, bought a house that to us was the best investment. In 2012, October, we moved to the house that we purchased, and we had a lot. And our plan was to sell the lot because we were not going to build. Selling off, my wife got sick, had an extended medical challenge. Selling off, passed away, and sometime last year, about the middle of the year, I put the lot in the market. And it has been on the market as of a week ago. The real estate trying to get sell the lot, informing. The state of the economy right now has been sluggish for the past 5-6 months. What we are looking into and has kept me informed of other lots comparable to mine, and said we think we are going to. The goal is to get rid of it. There is a High Point development at Creekmore Lane, very close to it, and there are many homes already built. Based on the feedback that I get from the realtor, the chances of the lot being sold, because other empty lots, in fact, the one across the street on Hampton, there is a study there, has been sold and already built, and there is another lot empty. The hope is to sell. My request to you would be to get an extension, because the goal is to sell the lot and or comply as the plans are. If not so, obviously, I will meet that requirement of the sidewalk.
Thank you. Seeing no other coming forward, I'll close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to dispose of the second plat, Lot 68.
Mr. Mayor, I move to not include Southern Hills at Creekmore second plat, Lot 68, address 1220 Deaton Circle, owned by Jesus A. Molina and Jennifer M. Botten, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second not to include the second plat of Lot 68. Is there any discussion? All in favor? 2, 3, 4. Motion carries unanimously. We move on to Lot 71, please.
Southern Hills at Creekmore, second plat, Lot 71, 1226 Deaton Circle. Mariah Bello, owner.
And the staff report, please.
Yes, this particular lot is at the western end of the Deaton Circle cul-de-sac. This owner has been notified since the 2012 public hearings, and we did post notice on the lot. Similar circumstances, again, this is one of 4 lots in the immediate area that do meet the threshold for having a sidewalk installed, and there are benefits to having the sidewalk installed within the area. Thank you.
Questions of staff? Thank you. I'll open up the public hearing on second plat, Lot 71. Seeing nobody come forward, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to dispose of the Lot 71.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Southern Hills at Creekmore Second Plat, Lot 71, address 1226 Deaton Circle, owned by Maria Bello, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
A motion and a second to include Lot 71. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Move on to Lot 74, please.
Southern Hills at Creekmore, second plat, lot 74, 1205 Hampton Drive. Joseph Abdul et al.
Staff report.
Yes, sir. Again, in the same vicinity, this one is on the west side of Hampton Drive. Again, this property owner's been notified since the 2012 public hearings, and we also posted notice on this particular lot. Thank you.
Questions of staff? I'll open up the public hearing on second plat of Lot 74. And seeing nobody come forward, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to dispose of the second plat, Lot 74.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Southern Hills at Creekmore Second Plat, Lot 74, address 1205 Hampton Drive, owned by Joseph Abdul et al., on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve, to include second plat, Lot 74. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Move on to Lot 82, please.
Southern Hills at Creekmore, second plat, lot 82, 1210 Hampton Drive. Aisha Washington and Michael Nagama.
Staff report, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. This lot would be on the east side of Hampton Drive, in the vicinity of the previous three. This owner has been notified since the hearings in 2012. Notice was posted on this lot as well. We have had no contact from the owner of this lot.
Questions of staff? I'll open up the floor for public comment. And seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Entertain a motion to dispose of the second plat of Lot 82.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Southern Hills at Creekmore Second Plot, Lot 82, address 1210 Hampton Drive, owned by Aisha Washington and Mikhail or Michael Nagama, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
I second.
A motion and a second to include Lot 82. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Excuse me. Move on to the Westbrook at Creekmore, fifth plat, Lot 148, please.
Westbrook at Creekmore, fifth plat, lot 148, 1519 Cross Creek Drive. Owner Rama Ghosh.
Staff report.
Sure, thank you. This particular lot is located at the intersection there of Cross Creek Drive and Fox Ridge Drive. This particular owner has been notified since May of 2012. Staff had contact back then regarding the lot with the property owner. This is a very, we consider a significant sidewalk segment. You can see it's the very end of the sidewalk before you get to Fox Ridge Drive, so it's a very important link for that entire neighborhood to connect to the trail system along Fox Ridge Drive. We did post notice on this particular lot, and again, we do believe this provides some continuous sidewalk throughout the neighborhood.
Thank you. Questions of staff? I'll open the public hearing. See nobody come forward, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to dispose of Lot 148.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Westbrook at Creekmore fifth plat, Lot 148, address 1519 Cross Creek Drive, owned by Rama Ghosh, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
A motion and a second to include the fifth plat, Lot 148. Councilmember Kellogg.
Thank you. On the map, just to the west of this property on Cross Creek Drive, that goes north and south there on Foxwood Drive, that's a blank space there. Who owns that, and what's the story behind that small sliver of property?
There is another lot there on Jeremy Circle, the south side of Jeremy Circle, but again, with only the three lots there, it does not meet that 66% threshold because it's on one side or the other. Am I in the wrong segment?
Yeah, just to the left of that blue box.
Left of the blue box.
It's green space, sir.
That's green space?
There's a wide strip of green space that runs along the east side of Fox Ridge Drive, isn't it, Jim?
Right, and there's no sidewalk required on the east side of Fox Ridge Drive. There's no sidewalk anywhere along the east side of Fox Ridge. The trail is the sidewalk segment,
Yes,
trail on the west side.
Yes, and I see that, but what my concern is that green space there just to the west of that property, east of the street, it doesn't show a red line there indicating that there's a sidewalk from the west side of the property to the street.
The developer, if the sidewalk does not go all the way to Fox Ridge Drive, the developer is required, as they have in all the other places of the subdivision, have installed the sidewalk and common area. If you look along Cross Creek Drive to the east, there's a large gap between the two homes. That's common area where the developer went in and installed the sidewalk. They would do the same here, as if the city installs a sidewalk on this lot, the developer would, it'd be a short section, but they would go in and install that sidewalk segment.
Okay.
They've done it on a number of other instances, such as the one to the north.
That
just to the
answers
north
my
side of
question.
Cross Creek.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. We've had questions of staff, so I'll open it up for public comment. Seeing nobody come forward, I'll close the public comment and entertain a motion to dispose of, what is this, lot 148?
Mr. Mayor, I believe actually I made a motion and it was seconded.
Oh, okay.
by
That's
Ms. So
correct.
we're at this, we were in council question, discussion.
Okay, and
So we go to a vote.
Good, ready for a vote. Well, I'll have to get my notes better, because I've been marking things down here, so I wouldn't do that. I'll have to include yet another mark here to keep me where I'm supposed to be. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. And we've had a request to take a 5-minute break. So I will grant the break. We'll recess for 5 minutes, and we'll rejoin up at about 10:32. And I'm going to make extra marks on my thing so I don't fall out of place again. May we have the reading of the 8th plat, lot 244, if I'm correct here. That's the next one.
You are, sir. You are. Westbrook at Creekmore, 8th plat, lot 244, 1107 Metfield Lane, owner Jared D. and Jessica Rose Mickelson.
Thank you. Staff report?
Thank you. On the map, it does identify that this is one of two lots in the 8th plat that do meet the threshold requirement for installing sidewalk. They're both on the interior loop of sidewalk with Metfield Lane, Brunswick Lane, Dunvegan Lane. This particular lot owner, a more recent purchaser of the lot, but was notified back in October of 13th of the requirement. Staff also posted notice on the lot. There has been some dialogue with the lot owner. We did include at your dais a email exchange that did occur. It was a request from the lot owner that was made to Councilmember Holman as well as Councilmember Bader regarding his particular lot. So provide that for the record. Again, this lot in conjunction with the other lot on Brunswick Lane would provide a continuous loop on this interior sidewalk segment for the subdivision. There's also one other home in this subdivision that's under construction. That concludes staff report for this lot.
Thank you. Questions of staff? I'll open the public hearing. Seeing nobody coming forward, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to dispose of the 8th plat, lot 244.
Mr. Mayor, I motion that we not include the lot 244, 8th plat, Westbrook at Creekmore, owned by Jared D. and Jessica Rose Mickelson, on the 2014 list of those to have sidewalks installed by the city.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to not include the 8th plat, lot 244. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Stevens?
What's the justification for that? Did you elaborate?
In the email, Mr. Mickelson has stated many of the same concerns that have been brought before us already today. In particular, the one that caught my attention is the lot is currently for sale inside the subdivision that we have recognized already has many lots for sale, and that we've already gone ahead and postponed that.
Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second to not include. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposed? 1. Motion carries. We move on to the 8th plat, lot 251, please.
Westbrook at Creekmore, 8th plat, lot 251, 1209 Brunswick Lane, owner Cooper Land Development, Inc.
Staff report?
Yes, sir, thank you. This is the second lot located in the 8th plat, and this is along Brunswick Lane. This particular lot is owned by the developer of Creekmore, Cooper Land Development, who has been involved in the requirements, aware of the requirements since 2008. The representative for Cooper Land Development, Ernie Deaton, did contact staff, did indicate that Cooper will be installing the sidewalk prior to the April 1st deadline. But I do ask that this be included on our list as a safeguard. Thank you.
Any questions to staff? Open the floor for public comment. Seeing nobody come forward, I'll close the public comment. Entertain a motion to dispose of the 8th plat, lot 251.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Westbrook at Creekmore 8th plat, lot 251, address 1209 Brunswick Lane, owned by Cooper Land Development, Inc., on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to include the 8th plat, lot 251, and the sidewalk construction. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. And we'll move on to the Westbrook Villas at Creekmore. And the reading of the first plat, lot 1.
Westbrook Villas at Creekmore, first plat, lot 1, 1360 Brompton Lane, owner Dahmer Construction, Inc.
Staff report?
Yes, sir, thank you. The owner of this particular lot has been advised of the requirement, been involved since the UDC was adopted. I do note that sidewalk has already been installed along the north side of Drake Lane from Brompton Lane to Fox Ridge Drive. So that sidewalk segment's been installed by the developer. The sidewalk that would be required would be the connection to the existing sidewalk along Brompton Lane. We were contacted by the owner of the lot immediately to the north, adjacent to this lot, that they do want to have the sidewalk installed. It would be an important segment to provide connection again to Drake Lane and then to the west to Fox Ridge Drive. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions to staff? Councilmember Kellogg?
I'm kind of curious, why would the lot have a sidewalk on the south side of that lot and not on the Brompton side? It wasn't required at that time. I'm just kind of curious here.
It wasn't required. It was installed at the time that the Cooper Land Development installed sidewalk in common areas on other locations and other areas. I honestly, I was a little surprised to see the sidewalk along Drake Lane along the south side of this lot, but it's installed, it's there, and so we, of course, give credit to that. So there's only a small segment that remains to be developed.
Okay, again, my next question is consistent with what I've asked so far today. Do we have any idea where the curb cut will be on that, since the address is on Brompton? I guess I'm asking do we have any idea of where the garage will be, where the driveway will be?
Based upon the design of the homes that have built along Brompton Lane, although I can't guarantee it, likely that's going to be off of Brompton Lane, just like the corner lot across the street has its driveway off of Brompton Lane. The design of these homes has a straight-in entry garage, so it's likely to come off of Brompton.
Any further questions to staff? I'll open up the floor for public comment. See nobody come forward, I'll close the public comment and entertain a motion to dispose of the first plat of lot 1.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Westbrook Villas at Creekmore, first plat, lot 1, address 1360 Brompton Lane, owned by Dahmer Construction, Inc., on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to include first plat lot 1 in the sidewalk construction. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to lot 34, please.
Westbrook Villas at Creekmore, second plat, lot 34, 1518 Ventnor Lane, owner Heartland Ventures, LLC.
Staff report.
This particular lot is located on the west side of Ventnor Lane. It's one of a number of lots in the vicinity that do meet the threshold for sidewalk installed. The continuous sidewalk would only be there if the other lots are also required to have the sidewalk installed. The owner of this lot was made aware prior to the 2012 public hearings of the code requirement. We also did post notice on this particular lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Thank you. I'll open the floor for public comment. Seeing nobody come forward, I'll close the public comment and entertain a motion to dispose of Lot 34.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Westbrook Villas at Creekmore, second plat, lot 34, address 1518 Ventnor Lane, owned by Heartland Ventures LLC, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to include Lot 34 in the sidewalk construction. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Now, the next 7 are owned by the same owner. So let's have a reading of lots 26, 28, 29, 45, 47, 67, and 68.
Westbrook Villas at Creekmore, second plat, lot 26, 1502 Ventnor Lane, second plat, lot 28, 1506 Ventnor Lane, second plat, lot 29, 1508 Ventnor Lane, second plat, lot 45, 1422 Brompton Lane, second plat, lot 47, replat, 1517 Ventnor Lane, third plat, lot 67, 1456 Brompton Lane, third plat, lot 68, 1454 Brompton Lane, all owned by Weiss King Homes, LLC.
Thank you. Staff report?
Yes, sir, thank you. So these lots are either along the Ventnor Lane loop or along Brompton Lane in the Westbrook Villas subdivision, both the second and third plat. The owner of these lots has been notified of the process since your 2013 public hearings. I do note again that these lots do, again, work with one another for providing the contiguous sidewalk from the Westbrook Villas out to the trail on Fox Ridge Drive. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Okay, I'll open the floor for the public hearing. Anybody want to come forward? See nobody come forward, I'll close the public hearing and I'll entertain a motion to dispose of these lots.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include the following lots, all contained within Westbrook Villas at Creekmore, individually listed, itemized as second plat, lot 26, 1502 Ventnor Lane, second plat, lot 28, address 1506 Ventnor Lane, second plat, lot 29, address 1508 Ventnor Lane, second plat, lot 45, address 1422 Brompton Lane, second plat, lot 47, replat, address 1517 Ventnor Lane, third plat, lot 67, address 1456 Brompton Lane, and third plat, lot 68, address 1454 Brompton Lane, all collectively owned by Weiss King Homes LLC, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Second.
A motion and a second. I must comment on the motion. Well done, well done. There's a motion and a second to include lots 34, 26, 28, 29, 45, 47, 67, and 68 in the sidewalk construction. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Was there a discussion?
Just one item. I mean, so many lots owned by one person, that's a hell of a lot of money. I mean, you probably talk about $2,000 a lot.
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that opposition or in favor? Opposition. Okay, 1 in opposition. The rest in favor. The motion carries. Give me half a second here to update my notes so I don't lose my place. We have the reading for lot 74, please.
Westbrook Villas at Creekmore, third plat, lot 74, 1442 Brompton Lane. Owner E. Michael and Katrina Holmes.
The staff report, please.
Yes, sir, thank you. This particular lot along Brompton Lane, if sidewalk was installed based upon your previous decision of putting sidewalk on the other lots, this would provide a continuous sidewalk segment. The owner of this lot's been advised since the 2012 public hearings. Notice was posted on this particular lot. Staff did have conversation with the property owner. They did purchase the lot. a few years ago, are looking to sell the lot as well. Indicated he was also looking at quotes to install the sidewalk, but didn't indicate whether sidewalk would be done before April 1st. Again, I believe the hope is to sell the lot. I do ask that this lot be included on the list as a precaution to ensure sidewalks installed to create that continuous sidewalk system. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Thank you. I'll open up public hearing. Seeing nobody come forward, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion to dispose of lot 74.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Westbrook Villas at Creekmore Third Plat, Lot 74, address 1442 Brompton Lane, owned by E. Michael and Katharina Holmes, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Second.
A motion and a second to include lot 74 in the sidewalk construction. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on over to Madison Creek. It looks like the first two lots, lot 45 and 147.
Madison Creek, first plat, lot 45, 412 Granite Court. Third plat, lot 147, 711 Ridge Crest Drive, both owned by RFF Development Company, LLC.
Thank you. And the staff report?
Yes, sir. Thank you. The owner of these two lots has been notified since prior to adoption of the UDC, so they've been aware of it for a number of years. For lot 45, it's located on Granite Court. Sidewalk of this particular lot would provide connectivity to the subdivision pool, as well as connectivity to the trail system and sidewalk along Madison Street. The sidewalk that would be on lot 147 is adjacent to another lot that does meet the threshold. Sidewalk on those two lots would provide connectivity again within a subdivision and again to the subdivision pool and the trail system along Fox Ridge Drive. Staff did speak yesterday with the lot owner representing RFF. Certainly they were aware of the requirement, did not indicate whether they would be installing the sidewalk. They are trying to sell the lots. I did make them aware of course, of the deadlines. I would ask that these two lots both be included on the list for 2014.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Councilmember Kellogg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm looking at page 89, lot 45. My question is on the south side of that cul-de-sac there at Granite Court. 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5 houses there that encompass that, is that on the next year's, or is that?
It actually, those lots fell under a previous requirement that sidewalk only be installed on one side of the street. So that was the first phase of the subdivision. And so that's why you saw the few homes on the north side of Granite Court that were built had sidewalk installed. So it would not be a requirement at any time for those lots to have sidewalk installed, since they fell under a previous code requirement. We made a change about in the 2001 time period where it went from only on one side of the street to both sides of the street. They happened to be built before that time frame.
That'll dovetail into the next question. Does that old requirement ever, does it have a sunset, or does that?
Well, yeah, that old requirement is no longer in place. It's just that we do have neighborhoods that do have sidewalk only on one side of the street. So there'll be no time that this code or code would require an owner of a developed lot to install a sidewalk. The only way I would assume we would get sidewalk on these lots, if we wanted it on both sides, would be for the city to add it to its program. But to this date, that hasn't been the intent of the program.
Other questions of staff? I'll open the floor for public comment. Seeing nobody coming forward, I'll close the floor and entertain a motion to dispose of lots 45 and 147.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Madison Creek First Plat Lot 45, address 412 Granite Court, and Madison Creek Third Plat Lot 147, address 711 Ridgecrest Drive, each owned by RFF Development Company, LLC, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to include lots 45 and 147. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Move on to third plat, lot 148, please.
Madison Creek, third plat, lot 148, 713 Ridgecrest Drive, owner SLS 10 LLC.
Thank you. Staff report?
Yes, sir. This lot is located along Ridgecrest Drive based upon your previous decision. Sidewalk in this lot would create a continuous loop for the block as well as direct connection to the sidewalk and trail along Madison Street and the subdivision pool. Back on September 5th, staff did talk with the lot owner, who did indicate their intent to obtain a permit to build a home on the lot within 30 days. In fact, they did submit a letter to that effect that's included in your packet. Staff would ask that this be added to the list for 2014. Thank you.
Questions of staff? Councilmember Moorhead?
Mr. Carteret, for clarification, the letter received on September 5th, 2014, the request for the 60-day deferral is still well short of the deadlines that are included within our process.
And that's correct. In a phone conversation I had with Mr. Robertson, I indicated that the de facto extension until April 1st. So as long as the permit was obtained before then, that the obtaining of the permit would meet the requirement. So he was aware of that.
Further questions of staff? Thank you. I'll open the floor for public comment. Seeing nobody coming forward, I'll close the floor for public comment and entertain a motion to dispose of lot 148.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Madison Creek, third plat, lot 148, address 713 Ridgecrest Drive, owned by SLS 10 LLC, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Second.
A motion and a second to include lot 148 in the sidewalk construction. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We will now move on to Shadowwood, and it looks like they're all owned by the same developer. So may we have a reading on all of them in Shadowwood?
Shadowwood, second plat, lot 48, 716 South Adams Street. Second plat, lot 49, 718 South Adams Street. Second plat, lot 50, 720 South Adams Street. Second plat, lot 52, 724 South Adams Street. Second plat, lot 53, 726 South Adams Street. Second plat, lot 55, 802 South Adams Street. Second plat, lot 62, 329 Mulberry Drive. Second plat, lot 95, 333 South Adams Court. Third plat, lot 123, 604 South Franklin Street. Third plat, lot 125, 214 Cottonwood Drive. Third plat, lot 146, 713 South Washington Street. Third plat, lot 154, 314 Sycamore Drive. Fourth plat, lot 168, 717 South Washington Street. Fourth plat, lot 177, 805 South Washington Street. Fourth plat, lot 179, 809 South Washington Street. Fourth plat, lot 180, 811 South Washington Street. Fourth plat, lot 210, 309 Mulberry Drive, and fourth plat, lot 211, 311 Mulberry Drive, all owned by Southampton, Inc.
Thank you. The staff report, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. The developer, Southampton, the lot owners have been notified of the requirement since the UDC was adopted back in 2008. I do note all the lots, with one exception, lot 95, all the other lots, if sidewalk were to be installed, would provide continuity and contiguous sidewalk to either the trail system and sidewalk along Madison Street or the sidewalk along Lucy Webb, as well as connectivity to the interior sidewalk system to have access to the subdivision amenities and the subdivision pool. Lot 95 would be the exception, that if sidewalk were to be installed on this lot, there actually are still other gaps that would exist in the sidewalk system on the east side of Adams Street. So I separate that one out because I think the circumstances are different for that lot versus all the other lots. If sidewalks installed on all the other lots, again, we have a complete sidewalk system. I do note one of the comments that Brian Mather did speak back at your October 7th meeting when we had discussion on the issue. It did provide some comments and statements at that meeting. I also note and included a petition that was submitted by 27 lot owners within the Shadowwood subdivision, again, back at your October 7th, 2013 meeting, where those residents, existing residents of the subdivision, did want to have sidewalk installed on these lots. So I submitted that as part of your record for the hearings today. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Thank you. I'll open the floor for public comment. Please identify yourself for the record. Keep your comments to under 5 minutes or so.
Thank you. I'm Forrest Bowles. I live here in Raymore, Missouri. And, pardon? 721 South Adams Street. And as a resident of Shadowwood, I'm here to respectfully request that we include these lots in the 2014 list. And I would also, talking about lot 95, I understand what you're suggesting there, but I see the other two blanks there on South Adams Court. And I would ask that you consider including those as well. Neither of those would require a curb cut because both of those have the garage in the back off the alleyway. So that would make a continuous sidewalk on both sides of the street. And I'm concerned about that because I consider the number of children in the neighborhood. I will tell you last year, I live on the cul-de-sac just up above South Adams Court. We had 247 children at our house on Halloween. So we know there's a lot of children in the neighborhood and we would like to keep them safe. We don't want them out in the street. I request it be included on the city's list because I doubt that Mr. Mather, the developer, will install these on his own. He has shown a total disregard for the requests of the people in the neighborhood or the things that are required for the 8 years that I've lived in Shadowwood. He won't even enforce his own covenants on a particular neighborhood. And I think you'll see that he doesn't keep his lots mowed either. I know the city has been involved in that a few times. At a meeting we had back in February, he responded to our questions about the sidewalk as it's a ridiculous requirement. Furthermore, twice during that meeting he stated, nobody's going to tell me what to do. If nobody can tell him what to do, then as a resident of Shadowwood, I'm going to ask the city to please install the sidewalks. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Seeing none, I'll close the public comment. And I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include the following properties in Shadowwood, all in Shadowwood, specifically listed as second plat lot 48, address 716 South Adams Street, second plat lot 49, address 718 South Adams Street, second plat lot 50, 720 South Adams Street, second plat lot 52, address 724 South Adams Street, second plat lot 53, 726 South Adams Street, second plat lot 55, address 802 South Adams Street, second plat lot 62, address 329 Mulberry Drive, second plat lot 95, 333 South Adams Court, third plat lot 123, address 604 South Franklin Street, third plat lot 125, address 214 Cottonwood Drive, third plat lot 146, address 713 South Washington Street, third plat lot 154, address 314 Sycamore Drive, fourth plat lot 168, address 717 South Washington Street, fourth plat lot 177, address 805 South Washington Street, fourth plat lot 179, address 809 South Washington Street, fourth plat lot 180, address 811 South Washington Street, fourth plat lot 210, address 309 Mulberry Drive, and fourth plat lot 211, address 311 Mulberry Drive, all collectively owned by Southampton Incorporated, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
I second.
Well done.
I keep up with Ms. Warner.
All right, well.
Very well. She does.
We have a motion and a second to include all these lots in Shadowwood discussion. Councilmember Moorhead?
This is actually more, since an individual got up and spoke in support of adding them, but there was an additional mention of something that was not included in this. I would merely ask Mr. Cataret if the addresses could be obtained, if information could be gathered on those, and if relevant, they could be brought at a later either work session or public session, or to be able to be addressed in the future, but that they are not, cannot be brought today because of the public hearing aspect of this, so that we're only dealing with what has had a public hearing.
Public notice.
Public notice.
Other comment? Councilmember Kellogg?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And there's a lot of blank spaces that I don't see as lots here. Jim, can you explain this to me? What drew my attention was at the corner of, it looks like the northeast corner of South Adams Court and South Adams Street. Top right-hand corner there of that map. Can you explain to me why there is no sidewalks there, or where those lots are at? Who owns that, or is it a vacant lot? And you know, and that's just what brought my attention was that. But then as I look at this particular diagram, it's riddled with all kinds of vacancies here.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you. And a great question. When you look at South Adams Court as an example, what staff does to determine, again, this code applies to the side of the street where the undeveloped lot is located. So in a cul-de-sac, we basically have to draw a line down the middle of the street to the middle of the cul-de-sac. So on the south side of Adams Court, we calculated there's 4 homes, and then lot 95 is what would be the 5th home with the 5th lot, meeting the threshold requirement of 66%. So the undeveloped lot at what would be at the very end of South Adams Court was calculated with lots that would be on the north side of Adams Court. So we have 2 vacant lots there. So right now we don't meet the threshold, which is why you did not see the one at the corner of Adams Court and Adams Street, or the one at the end of the cul-de-sac included in this year's list. We did not feel that met the threshold. Either one met the threshold for requiring sidewalk. So if a permit is ever issued or a home constructed on either one of those 2 lots, the threshold would be met, and we would kick in the other lot to add to the requirement.
Mr. Feuerborn?
And as you look at one like South Adams Court, where it's a very short cul-de-sac, it may seem, well, why didn't staff include the entire cul-de-sac within that as far as the count is concerned? But we have other cul-de-sacs in the city, up in Creekmore, where it's dozens and dozens of homes to get back to the cul-de-sac, so you still have to draw that same line. It's more of a traditional street, not a short cul-de-sac like this.
Other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the number of lots in Shadowwood. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to Whitetail Run, please.
Whitetail Run, first plat, lot 36, 911 Caribou Court. Owner Green Grass Investments, Inc.
Staff report, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. As I bring it up on the screen here, give me a moment.
Yep, that's fine. There's a number of lots between that and the last one.
Lot 36 in Whitetail Run is at the what would be the end of the Caribou Court subdivision. There is a home under construction on the lot adjacent to this particular lot. The owner of this lot was advised of the requirement beginning in at the October 7th, 2013 meeting. We also posted notice on this particular lot. A couple of comments on this. If sidewalk is installed on this lot, you'll notice that Whitetail Run, in this particular area of Whitetail Run, it is somewhat sporadic sidewalk segments. Installing sidewalk here, although it would help for connectivity in the Caribou Court cul-de-sac, it does not provide connection to an existing sidewalk network along Elk Drive that gets up to the school. Until other homes are built in the area, there'll still be some disconnection for this lot as part of the overall sidewalk network.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Thank you. I'll open the floor for public comment. Whoop, there was a question of staff? Well, you got to jump in there. Okay. Councilmember Stevens?
Is this something we really want to do? The subdivision is pretty isolated. There's really low traffic. Is this something that we really think we need to do?
It is isolated, I will agree with that. There's no connectivity to other subdivisions. The importance here, though, is providing the connectivity to the school. And there is sidewalk along Elk Drive, there is sidewalk along 195th, and there is a crosswalk to go across 195th for the children to walk to the Bridle Ridge School. My only comment for this particular lot is that if we require installation of sidewalk, it does not provide for a direct connection to the existing system that gets the kids to the school. So this lot still a little bit isolated from some other lots that will come up next on the agenda.
Councilmember Moorhead?
Mr. Carteret, in light of the previous discussion we had when you explained how you split a court, I'm looking at this and seeing the properties that would count at the bottom. The south side, we have 3 lots where 2 are vacant. How does that meet the threshold?
Well, on the south side, because we had the permit issued, and sidewalk being installed as part of that particular hall, that's the only reason.
Okay. Other questions of staff? Okay, open floor for public comment. Seeing nobody come forward, I'll close public comment and entertain a motion to dispose of lot 36.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Whitetail Run First Plat Lot 36, address 911 Caribou Court, owned by Greengrass Investments, LLC, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
We have a motion and a second to include lot 36 in the sidewalk construction. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Move on to lots 56 and 58, please.
Whitetail Run, first plat lot 56, 915 Doe Drive, first plat lot 58, 919 Doe Drive, both owned by Larry R. Harkrader.
Staff report, please.
Yes, sure, thank you. Both of these lots are located on the south side of Doe Drive. And as you look at the map for the area, you'll see if sidewalk is installed on these 2 lots, it would provide for direct connection to the sidewalk on Elk Drive, again leading up to the intermediate school on 195th Street. I do note that the owner of these 2 lots have been notified since your October 2013 meetings. We did post notice on these lots as well. Thank you.
Any questions of staff? Councilmember Kellogg?
I noticed this in our last motion. I'm looking at Elk Drive. Are there lots off of Elk Drive on the west side of the Elk Drive? Because there is a sidewalk that runs that whole length.
There is a sidewalk, and there's actually a trail on the east side of Elk Drive. They were installed as part of the public improvements back when the subdivision was done. So that's why you see the continuous sidewalk on the west side and the trail on the east side. They have been installed.
Yeah, where I'm leading my question to is there lots that will be entering off of Elk Drive to the west of Elk Drive?
Actually, in this case, there would not be. Elk Drive is a collector road,
okay.
So all the access has to be off of interior streets. No access driveways will be off of Elk Drive.
Okay.
Other questions of staff? Yeah, I'll open up the floor for public comment. Please state your name and address for the record. Keep your comments to under 5 minutes.
Yeah, my name's Larry Harkrader. Address is 1908 East 58 Highway. These 2 lots, I got somebody that's interested in, I'm working on a build job on, I don't know which one, because his wife likes one and he likes the other. But either a build job or he might buy the lot and have another builder. I don't know for sure. But that's what I'm working on, and I was wondering if I could get a continuance on that till 2015. And if that don't work out, I'd be willing to put the sidewalks in myself, or my contractor. I'm a home builder. So that's kind of where I'm at.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Kellogg?
May I ask you a question, sir? Did I hear you say that you are a resident of Raymore?
What's that?
You are a resident of Raymore? or you're going to be moving to Raymore?
Other than, I'm not in the town of Raymore. I'm east on 58 Highway.
Yeah,
2 miles.
and in fairness, just like I told the gentleman that I asked the question of the last time, the reason why I do that is to get a sense of buy-in, part of the community. It indicates to me the level of commitment you have to your city and that. So anyway, out of respect, I wanted to let you know why I asked that question, and I appreciate you answering it and being here.
I build in Raymore, and, but I am not in the city limits right now.
Thank you. Seeing no more coming forward for public comments, I'll close the public comment period and entertain a motion to dispose of lots 56 and 58.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to not include Whitetail Run First Plat Lot 56, address 915 Doe Drive, and Whitetail Run First Plat Lot 58, 919 Doe Drive, both owned by Larry R. Harkrader, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to not include lots 56 and 58 in the sidewalk construction. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. And we'll move on to Alexander Creek. We have lots 22 and 41.
Alexander Creek First Plat, Lot 22, 2223 Windside Court, First Plat, Lot 41304 Alexander Creek Court, both owned by SAB Construction, LLC.
Staff report, please.
Yes, sir, thank you. For both these lots, Lot 22 and Lot 41 in Alexander Creek, the builder SAB Construction did just obtain permits for both the lots. So based upon that, they could be, no decision would need to be made today. They will install a sidewalk as part of the permit.
Okay. We do have any questions of staff? I'll open the floor for public comment. Seeing nobody come forward, I'll close the public comment. And we do not need to take action on this, so.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. Unless there's, Councilmember Kellogg?
I guess if we don't take action on this and the property owner doesn't build it, then we're kind of just putting it off into next year's, in essence?
There is a chance of that occurring, yes. They paid the permit and of course, paid all the fees as part of the permit.
They have paid the permit?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They have the permit in hand. Yes.
Okay, I didn't hear you say that, and that explains a lot.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So unless there's a member up here that would like to make a motion, we'll just skip it and go on. Seeing no motion, we'll go on then to Timber Trails, Lot 14, 54, and 63, please.
Timber Trails, First Plat, Lot 14, 2003 Sequoia Drive, Second Plat, Lot 54, 406 Meadowlark Drive, Second Plat, Lot 63, 504 Meadowlark Drive, all owned by Hunt Midwest Real Estate Developments, Inc.
Staff report, please.
Thank you. For the first two lots, Lot 14 and Lot 54, a building permit has been obtained for both of those lots, so no action is necessary on those two. For the third lot, which is in the second plat, it's Lot 63. Hunt Midwest does own this particular property. They have been notified of the requirements since the code was adopted in 2008. This is an important sidewalk segment to provide connectivity to the existing system in the subdivision as well as out to Lucy Webb Road. There are a number of homes under construction in the subdivision by Summit Custom Homes. This is just one lot that remains still under the ownership of Hunt Midwest. I haven't had any communication with Hunt Midwest on this lot, but again, the other two lots they did previously own were just sold and with permits issued, so I would ask that this particular lot be included on the list.
Okay, thank you. Questions of staff? Just to make sure that I'm staying caught up here, lots 14 and 54 permits have been pulled. There's no need to include those in the sidewalk.
Correct, sir.
Okay. I'll open the floor for public comment. Say none. I'll close the public hearing on that and entertain a motion to dispose of lot 63.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Timber Trail Second Plat, Lot 63, address 504 Meadowlark Drive, owned by Hunt Midwest Real Estate Developments Incorporated, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to include Lot 63 in the sidewalk construction. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Yep, we're down to the last one. I have a reading of Skyview East, Lot 9, please.
Skyview East Lot 9, 617 Horizon Parkway, owned by Adam Stout.
Staff report?
Yes, sir, thank you. The owner of this property, Mr. Stout, has been advised of the requirement to install the sidewalk. As a owner of a proposed subdivision in another location, he was made aware back when the UDC was first being proposed. This particular lot is part of the Skyview subdivision. You'll see that there is currently sidewalk on the east and west side of Horizon Parkway, leading up to a sidewalk segment that does exist along Lucy Webb Road. However, there is no sidewalk to the, what would be, I guess, to the south and the southeast of this lot that leads down into the Moon Valley subdivision. So I just note that for the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions of staff? Councilmember Stevens?
Did you say it doesn't really connect to anything else, does it?
This lot does not. What it would do is provide, just a connection to the existing sidewalk on Horizon. There would still be a gap between this lot and the Moon Valley subdivision to the south, yes.
Other questions of staff? Councilmember Kellogg?
In the future, the one, gosh, what is that street right there?
Horizon?
Is that Horizon?
Is it Horizon?
I'm looking at the street, the dog legs off down to the southeast.
I believe it's
this map.
Sandpiper.
Page 151.
151.
Sandpiper.
Sandpiper. Thank you. Is there exemptions for that of having a sidewalk in the future, or is that something that we're going to be looking at in the future?
Sandpiper south of there is a rural section. There's no curb and gutter, and when we looked at the long-term sidewalk program that we've been going through, council directed not to install sidewalks along those segments at this time.
Other questions of staff? I'll open the floor for public comment. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And I'll entertain a motion to dispose of Lot 9.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to include Skyview East, Lot 9, address 617 Horizon Parkway, owned by Adam M. Stout, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
I second.
A motion and a second to include Lot 9 in the sidewalk construction. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Stevens?
I don't see why this couldn't wait for whoever owns this to build on the lot. It doesn't really connect to anything, so I don't really see the point.
Thank you. Other comments? Councilmember Kellogg?
Thank you. And I agree with Councilmember Stevens on that, but I don't see an applicant or a homeowner here to oppose it. Don't have any communication that saying that they would oppose it. Common sense tells me that we're not going to be building a sidewalk down there. This is the very last. There's nothing there. I don't want to classify it as a sidewalk to nowhere, but the property owner has been given all the notices and all of that. We've had plenty of property owners here. We've even had emails from a serviceman that wasn't able to be here. So even though I agree with you in theory here, I'm going to support this being put in.
Other comments? Councilmember Moorhead? I almost said Wesco. Oh, man, I know I shouldn't have said that earlier.
My reading of the map here is that does feed down into another housing development. I note that on the map that there are sidewalks leading on both sides of the street. If we do not include that, neither side of the street has a sidewalk that feeds into that other street that does have a sidewalk. So it would leave a gap. That is a highly trafficked area, or at least a higher trafficked area over there, and believe that there is some because I believe we did have somebody in here who did speak to the number of children in the development to the south of that. And because that road leads up to Lucy Webb, I believe that it may be some need because of the traffic flow on there. So I understand the comment, but I think it's not necessarily a road to, or a sidewalk to nowhere, and therefore, based on the other criteria, I would also support.
Councilmember Kellogg?
And thank you for that reasoning. That's what I was looking for, and that's why I say some of the things I do is to spur some of the comments that do come out, and I appreciate your comments, and you just justified it for me there. So I not that I withdraw my comments, but I reevaluate them. Thank you.
Other discussion? We have a motion and a second to include Lot 9 in the sidewalk construction. All in favor? 1, 2, 3. In opposition? 1. Motion carries. And that takes care of the new business.
Mr. Mayor, I have a point of inquiry. With the 2 plats for Alexander Creek and the 2 for Timber Trails that had the permits that had been pulled, so we in essence deferred them without action, I have a question for council. Because this was noticed up for public hearing, the effect that we're saying by our inaction is that we are not including them on the 2014 list. In light of this being put up for public notice, would it not be more appropriate to go ahead and have us put a form, because actually on the Alexander Creek, we never closed the public hearing portion of that. Would it be appropriate to go ahead and go through that process and then to have a motion not to include them? That way we have clarity on our action for what we are doing for those four lots.
Yes, procedurally, I would prefer if you'd go back to the 2 items, close the public hearings, and then take a vote to do something.
Okay, on the Alexander Creek, the 2 plots there, or lots there, and the 2 lots on Timber Trails. If I have my notes here correct?
Correct.
Okay. Councilmember Kellogg, I saw that you had your hand up. Would you like to comment?
I did, but I was misplaced in raising my question. Joe answered it just eloquently there, and I would agree, concur with what Mr. Moorhead.
Since a member of the council has asked for these to be brought up, I will go ahead and bring them up, beginning with Alexander Creek, Lot 22 and Lot 41. I'll open the public hearing.
Great.
Seeing nobody come forward, I'll close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion to dispose of Lot 22 and Lot 41 in Alexander Creek.
Prior to the motion, let me ask Mr. Carteret, do you have a preference of these being deferred for 1 year?
I think that is what needs to be occur. So if you do not include it in the 2014 list, I'll add it to the 2015 list. If the sidewalk's installed as part of the home construction, you won't see it on your 2015 list.
Thank you.
That'd be the appropriate motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to not include Alexander Creek First Plat Lot 22, address 2223 Windside Court, and Alexander Creek First Plat Lot 41, address 304 Alexander Creek Court, each owned by SAB Construction LLC, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Second.
A motion and a second not to include lots 22 and lots 41. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Kellogg?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would ask that when this comes before the council the next time, that those notes, that commentary be addressed to the council. That way that there isn't a misconception that, something didn't happen back here today that, could be assumed or something. As long as those comments are made and the council is well aware of it at that time, I'd feel comfortable with that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. I will go then to Timber Trails, Lot 14 and Lot 54. I'll open up the floor for public comment. Seeing none, I'll close the public comment and entertain a motion to dispose of lots 14 and 54.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to not include Timber Trails First Plat Lot 14, address 2003 Sequoia Drive, and Timber Trails Second Plat Lot 54, address 406 Meadowlark Drive, both owned by Hunt Midwest Real Estate Developments Incorporated, on the 2014 list of those lots to have sidewalk installed by the city.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second not to include lots 14 and 54 in the sidewalk construction. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Kellogg?
I'd ask staff to apply the same commentary to these lots that I asked about for the previous.
Okay, yes, sir.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. I thank the council member for bringing up those to settle. That takes care of new business. I just make one comment, and that's the city staff. Thank you for all the documentation. I read the packets, and I felt that I had an idea of what was going on out there, so I really do appreciate it. And that concludes the business for the meeting today. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? We are in adjournment. Thank you.
Very well done.